This is possibly the last Donald Trump interview before the end of his presidential term, and Donald Trump reveals everything. The new political party, new tapes about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, Nancy Pelosi, a bottle of brandy and 2 glasses at the White House bedroom of the president, what he really thinks about Omarosa, and of course the new Trump strategy for 2024.
Lovely to have you here, Mr. Trump. Thank you very much. Here in Europe it's afternoon, so good afternoon, Mr. Trump.
Good morning.
I would say it's morning over there. I do apologize. We have the time zones. People are saying they're going to be presenting you with impeachment or Amendment 52, or they're going to find some way to throw you out. How do you feel about that?
First of all, I don't think anybody would present me with anything bad because they know how much I love this country. Nobody.
That's very true. That's very true. Other people, Mr. Trump, say that you are now going to give up political life and that you're just going to move to Scotland and play golf. How bad is that?
If I was, and of course you have to look at it, because if you don't look at it, you're not going to know if it's bad. How are you going to know if it's bad?
Well, I hope your handicap is good. Concerning your new political party, people are now saying there are rumours that you are going to start a new political party. Is there any truth in that?
Oh, I have a lot of people that want it, and we're a lot of great people.
And while I've got you, Mr. Trump, you know, my YouTube channel is already being blocked by YouTube. They're not allowing me to monetize any videos because, well, they have their own censors. What do you think about that?
It really sounds to me like a free speech thing.
Well, it is, yeah, you're right. Thank you. And Mr. Trump, concerning your new political party, you know, the people who you're going to have around you, let's start with the vice president. Now, rumors have had it that you're going to be firing Kayleigh McEnany. Other people say that she could be your next running partner in 2024 for vice president. What do you say about that?
No, I'm not going to fire her. I think she's a terrific person. She's a tremendous spokesperson. She's been loyal. She's just a great person.
And when are you going to start doing new political rallies concerning your presidentship for 2024?
By the end of next year.
Wow, that fast. Well, that's good. And people say you're not even going to be announcing this. They've taken you off Twitter, Facebook. Parlay is being taken off the App Store, the Google Store, the newspapers. Are you going to be announcing this new party at all?
We're going to be announcing on Tuesday.
That's tomorrow. Good for you. And what about your supporters, or let's say your campaign workers for 2024? Do you think you'll find enough people?
And we have over 100,000 people.
What about Joseph Biden? Do you think he will recandidate himself in 2024? That could be interesting.
One of the problems I think Biden has, he can't get crowds. I mean, nobody goes. He can't get 100 people.
That's very true. And what do you think about Kamala Harris? When will she become president? Statistics say that Joe Biden won't be there June this year, that he's going to abdicate, he's going to have some problem, that he's just not going to be able to manage it.
You know, frankly...
Okay, you don't want to express yourself on that, okay. What about people like Senator Cruz?
And I have a very good relationship.
Well, that sounds good. He's one of your staunchest supporters. And may I ask you, when are you going to really get active, even concerning 2022?
I'm in no rush.
Ah, okay. Does it worry you that they spied on your campaign in 2016? Do you think that'll happen again?
Well, it certainly does. And they were spying on my campaign, and it went right up to the top.
And what about the Hunter Biden thing, the thing that was shadowed by the social media, the laptop, the money from Ukraine, from Russia, from the wife of the mayor of Moscow? Any news on that, please?
And everybody knows it, and now we're going to find out.
And you obviously know, Mr. Trump, here in Europe, Czech Republic, Poland, Hungary, even Austria, you have a lot of fans. What do you think about all these people?
Patriotic people. They love our country.
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you. I've already heard rumours, Mr. Trump, that social media Europe, you know, the UK, even the newspapers, Sky News, BBC, Channel 4, and especially the social media, that they're already aiming at me or at my attempt to create a base for you, that they're going to be cancelling us soon. Can you tell me anything about that?
This is a disgrace, but I'm not surprised to see it. It's just starting to come up. I think this is nothing compared to what you'll see over the next couple of weeks.
Well, that doesn't sound very good, but thanks anyway for the tip. Now, if we're talking about the mainstream media here in Europe, they're all really against you. I mean, things that are going on the English channels, YouTube channels, you know, internet news, television news, cable news, they're really dragging you through the mud. And not only you, but also the other 74 million people of the United States.
What are they talking about? They must think we're nuts in this country.
I'm going to sidestep a moment, Mr. Trump, if I may. I know you received my package of the cherry brandy. It's the queen of plum brandy, but it's made from cherries. How did you like that?
It was perfect. It was nice.
What about BLM and Antifa? What's your opinion of them? You know, I'm not talking about BLM the concept, but BLM and Antifa, like 90% of the people in there are white privileged students. What do you think about those?
They've looked like fools over the last 5 days.
Well, that's true. Getting back to Joe Biden and his son Hunter and the money they've been getting, the collusion, you know, all the stuff about you and Russia collusion and the Ukrainian telephone call. What about Joe Biden?
What you're going to see, I predict, will be perhaps the biggest scandal in the history of our country, political scandal.
Wow. Tell me more about 2022 and 2024, Mr. Trump.
I think you're going to see things that are going to be incredible if it's done right. And
there's a lot of Republicans, the never-Trumpers, and people who've been sort of jumping the ship like rats now, who are stabbing you in the back. What about them? Is there going to be a cleanup, a purge?
And you know what? It's better that way, I guess.
What about the Democrats in general? What do you think about them?
You're going to see something, and then...
And what about relaxing, Mr. Trump, and playing some golf and just having a martini or a Coca-Cola and a hamburger?
I don't have any obligation legally to do that.
That's true. What about Nancy Pelosi and OAC and the PAC, as they call them?
You have a lot of very, very bad people.
I've also heard rumors that Tulisi Gabbard may be moving over to the Republican Party. I don't remember who it was, but she had a chat with someone, and I think she showed him. I don't remember the name, but...
She ate him for lunch?
Okay. And also, while we're talking about people who get eaten for lunch, Jim Acosta, or Jim Costa, whatever his name is, from CNN, the press conferences, they've been atrocious. How do you think Kayleigh dealt with him?
She ate him for lunch?
What about the Democrat funding from social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube? Do you think anybody else put money up for the Democrats?
Millions and millions of dollars. Hillary Clinton paid for it, and the Democrats.
I also heard, Mr. Trump, that you've had a recent telephone call with Putin from Russia, and that you've asked him not to interfere anymore with your bid in 2024. Can you explain that?
Well, that's what the word is, and that's what I asked actually in my phone call, if you know.
Well, if we're talking about funding now, I've got problems funding my YouTube channel, you know. YouTube are not allowing me to monetize it. I can't really get funds. I would need a new computer just to start with. You're a good businessman, you know, the art of the deal. Can you give me some tips on how I should go about that?
Why isn't Germany putting up money? Why isn't France putting up money? Why isn't all of the European nations? Why aren't they putting up? You have the European Union.
Very true words. I'll give it a go. And what about Hillary Clinton? Is there anything that's going to be done about her?
I can't tell you that. I can only say that we have a lot of information that a lot of bad things happened.
Getting back to the Hunter Biden laptop, have you seen it, or has anybody seen the contents?
The information that we have now is beyond belief already.
What about Barack Obama, if we're talking about everybody? He does all these press conferences, racial equality, and he's completely flipped the USA upside down. Is there anything going to be done about him?
He makes it all up. He's sick. There's something wrong with him.
What about Nancy Pelosi?
Crazy Nancy Pelosi, who, by the way, is going to go down as the worst speaker in the history of the House of Representatives. She hasn't done anything.
Mr. Trump, I've also heard that you've fallen out with Rudy Giuliani.
First of all, that's not true. Okay, number one, it's absolutely not true.
Okay, and what are his chances of getting a role in your next government in 2024?
Rudy is a great crime fighter. Rudy is the best mayor in the history of New York City. Rudy Giuliani is a very legendary figure in our country. Rudy was the U.S. attorney. He also worked at the Justice Department. Believe me, this kind of crap wouldn't have happened in the Justice Department if Rudy Giuliani was the Attorney General.
Next question, Mr. Trump. Omarosa, the woman you employed at the White House and who got fired, she's now being used as an international political speaker. What do you think about her?
This was not an angel, this woman, okay? There are a lot of things that she did that I didn't like, and we will talk about that at some time.
How good do you think the Democrats are as politicians?
The Democrats are lousy politicians. They have lousy policy, but they stick together.
Mr. Trump, could you synthesize in 20 seconds your whole political experience, please?
I come to Washington. So you've had Bush, and you have never Trumpers. So you have Bush, you have Clinton, you have Obama. So you have 24 years of people in positions, right? Then I come in with no experience, which is a good thing.
So what would you say is your biggest strength?
But I know life.
Do you think there is ever a chance of Barack Obama trying for another term if the Democrats changed the Constitution?
I just don't see it. But maybe he is. I mean, look, I wouldn't mind running against any of them.
What about Bill Clinton?
I'm sure he's going to run. He is going to spend, he's got the money to put on a great campaign.
Now, concerning Europe, Mr. Trump, you know you have fans here, you know that you also have haters. All the main governments now, in the last week, they have completely switched. According to them, you are Hitler. Do you get any information from Europe? And if so, how?
By talking to you.
That's very nice of you. Thank you very much. So do you think people will turn up at your next rallies?
I could tell you by the rally I'm having on Monday night, the place, they already have lines of people standing out front waiting.
And how do you think your chances are at getting votes?
We have many more votes already calculated.
Now, Democrats have obviously ignored that 74 million people, that's half the voting population, are very angry, and they say that's wrong. They have no right to be angry. What's your opinion on that, please?
They're angry. The people of the country are angry, and there's nothing wrong with saying that.
Also, Mr. Trump, the social cancelling, they're now going after Republicans. They're even going after the normal protesters, not those who broke into the Capitol. The normal people, they're putting rewards on their heads. They're saying people should be fired. What do you say about that?
How do you respond to that? I mean, you tell me.
What?
I've also heard that there are some taped conversations between Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and, well, I can't really express myself more on this. You know what I'm talking about. This is going to come out sooner or later. Can you just say something about that?
We have a new tape that we're going to release. It's devastating.
There's been some jokes going around on YouTube, on Facebook, saying that if you could candidate once or twice, then you could candidate 3 times. Always considering that somebody would have to change the Constitution, as in the case of Barack Obama, maybe. What do you say to that?
You know, why? I don't know why 3 times. Why not 5 times, right?
Well, that's a good number. I also heard, Mr. Trump, that Nancy Pelosi once turned up at your bedroom at night with a bottle of brandy and 2 glasses. Is that a rumor?
It was late in the evening, or early in the morning, and there was nobody else in the room.
How did you get rid of her?
Police and detectives and other people.
Last question, Mr. Trump. Do you think that Biden-Harris will be good for America and for the rest of the world?
You'd have to be a child to think anything other than that. Just a child.
Thank you, Mr. Trump. Goodbye.